Now, here in Nigeria, in a landmark ruling on Friday, the Supreme Court of Nigeria declared the National Lottery Act of 2005 invalid, affirming that the National Assembly does not possess the authority to legislate on matters concerning lotteries and games of chance. The unanimous decision was delivered by Justice Mohammed Idris on behalf of a 7-member panel. The court's ruling restricts the enforcement of the National Lottery Act solely to the Federal Capital Territory, that's the FCT, where the National Assembly retains legislative authority. Justice Idris emphasized that the exclusive jurisdiction over lottery and gaming matters lies with the state houses of assembly, thereby reinforcing the rights of states over issues constitutionally reserved for them. Now, to discuss the Supreme Court judgment invalidating the National Lottery Act and ceding regulation of lottery to the states and what it means for the sector, I have with me the MD and CEO of Lagos State Lottery, Bashir Are. Welcome to the show. Good afternoon, Mr. Are.
Good afternoon.
Great to have you. Now, of course, it's glaring that with this development, there's now a gap. So I'm just wondering, what measures states like Lagos are taking to prevent regulatory gaps during this transition?
I will have to realign your thought process on that. There was no gap.
Okay.
Lagos State Lottery and Gaming Authority has been in existence since 2005. So there wasn't any gap before. What you can say is that there was an overlap, which the Supreme Court has corrected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've landed on that. I thought you were going deeper into that, that's why I paused. But I'm thinking, when you consider the complex nature of modern digital lottery operations that often cross state boundaries, how do you envision effective interstate coordination working in the absence of the national regulatory framework?
There's nothing new. The internet came into being in the United States. And we have similar constitutions. We have similar federation system of government where there's delineation between federal government, state government, and local government. So if you have internet, the laws still persist. I'll give you an example. If you want to order goods from Amazon.com,
okay,
and you can order from any state. Maybe the factory is in California, the purchaser is in Maryland or New York. So you place your order and you still pay state taxes from where the transaction was originally consummated. So the same thing applies in terms of technology for online gaming and any other online commerce. So as it is, we have a system in place, we have regulation in place, and we have standard in place to regulate, protect, and promote the industry.
Okay, well said. It's good to know that, realigning our thoughts to know that there's no gap per se. But can you give us the intricate details of what this judgment means for the states? Let's just focus on Lagos State. I know that you're saying that there are no gaps, but what are the implications? The
implication is that prior to now, we have some operators who ordinarily apply for license to operate at the National Lottery Commission without recourse or without applying at the state level. So they have to regularize now.
Okay.
And they have to choose which state in which they want to operate. And as you may know, there are some states in Nigeria, maybe due to their culture, due to their religion or beliefs, they do not like gambling. Mm-hmm. So this gives every state the right to operate at the level they want to operate.
Okay. Now, you just said, talking about obtaining licenses on the federal level. Mm-hmm. So if we have some of the betting companies or the iGaming companies that already have those licenses that are obtained, are they still valid in Lagos State, for instance?
No, it can't be valid because the Supreme Court said
so they
the
have
act
to
is not afforded. Yes.
That's a lot of money that they will.
I mean, we're very liberal in Lagos State, and we do not want to strangulate the industry.
Okay.
So there are ways we accommodate those that want to regularize.
Do you care to go into detail regarding the ways?
It depends on individual circumstances. So some never applied before, some applied with us before. And, it has to be on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
we're also working with other, I need to let the public know that there are 22 other states of the Federation that joined the Lagos State in the case as plaintiff. So it's not just Lagos State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that it's on the state...
And a cut across the geopolitical zone, we have Plateau State, Kogi State, Nasarawa State, Benue State that actually joined as plaintiff with Lagos State.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm wondering what legal, you already touched on that saying. I was going to ask you about the legal mechanisms to handle existing contracts, but I think you've explained that it will be a case-by-case basis. So when you consider the substantial revenue implications, how should assets and liabilities of the National Lottery Commission be fairly distributed among states? And what should the criteria look like?
That is beyond my scope of duty.
Well, if you could suggest, what would it...
I wouldn't, because I don't have the right to do that.
Okay, that's completely fair. I respect that. So I'm just wondering how this ruling will affect international lottery partnerships and agreements that were established under the framework. Do you have any idea how that might...
We have partnerships and agreement with nations like UK Gaming Commission, Malta Gaming Authority, Cyprus, South Africa, Botswana. So we have those existing already. So we just have to amplify and strengthen it, and then make adjustment as necessary. So that's really normal. Lagos State, we've been operating based on international best practices, best standards. So whatever is obtainable in Lagos is obtainable in UK, is obtainable in European Union, and some part of North America like United States and Canada, and even to the Caribbean.
Now, wait, if you had, let's say, a country that doesn't necessarily have an industry that's as booming as what we have in Nigeria when it comes to the iGaming industry, and they look at this judgment and they want to see it as a learning opportunity, what lessons would you say should be learned from this judgment that we saw just a few days ago?
Every nation have their own constitution, they have their own system of government. Nigeria has decided to do constitutional democracy with presidential system flavor. Yeah. So you have some other country where they have parliamentary system. So it all depends on how your constitution is written and how it's being operated. So, but we do have some nations that has come around that, they want to learn from Lagos. Even there are states in Nigeria that has come and shadow us over the years. So we're open, we're flexible, and, the most important thing is to protect the industry. And it's more important to me for Nigerians at every state respectively to not only look at this industry where people become punters. We want to be able to develop local products that can compete on a global scale, and also to be put on a platform providers across the globe, so where our youth can develop games where they can earn foreign exchange for the country and for themselves. So those are the focus.
Going back to what you just mentioned about the platforms, we know we do have a lot of third-party providers in that case.
Majorly from abroad.
Majorly. How are you intensifying efforts regarding that to make sure that we have a lot of people on ground that are, milking that instead of what's happening overseas?
Lagos State government, over the years, I think in the past 4 years since I came on board, in partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Science and Tech. So there's an organization called last week, Lagos State Science and Research Council. So we do give them grants to promote local developers, not only in game, but in any creative and technological innovations. So we have grants just to promote them. We also expose them at global conferences, so where their software can be placed on a global scale.
That's great. That's good to know. Now, what do you foresee any challenges? Because it does sound like everything is under control from the energy I'm getting and from your responses. But do you perceive any specific challenges that might come, based on the absorption and redistribution of the Commission's personnel under state regulatory bodies? Do you think that any of that might happen?
You need to know that before the judgment and in the last 4 or 5 years, we have what is called Federation of State Gaming Regulators.
Okay.
So we're self-regulating ourselves. So we want to make sure the standard is the same across board. We advise ourselves, we go to training, we attend conferences. So this industry is a global industry. So it's not something that stems out of Nigeria or out of Lagos. So we make sure we're following the best standard, innovations, emerging technologies, emerging regulations, cross-border enforcement, reciprocity enforcement. We have all those in place in Lagos State, and we're sharing it with our counterpart at different states.
So, what are from the interactions you've had with the other states, like those that you mentioned earlier on, what would you say is one of the major challenges that you see that is across board in most of those states?
Okay, when it comes to sport betting or online casino, there's no issue. But we also have our retail casino and games parlor. So every state has their own uniqueness. Yes. Some states, they have to focus on that because that's their strength.
Yeah.
Some places like Lagos, due to our population, the advancement in technology, infrastructure, so online is more prominent. So, but some states, their comparative advantage is gaming parlor and casino, and they can use that to establish resorts where people can go on a vacation, and that can promote tourism. They can go on vacation, they can do honeymoon, conferences and stuff. So other states need to look into that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good that you're putting those ideas out there. Now, I'm just wondering if we can go off of this topic into another. I know that come the 1st of January, there's a withholding tax that's supposed to go into effect, where 5% of the residents, the winnings are held back, and 15% for non-residents. And we've seen a lot of, at least from the interactions I've had, we've seen a lot of negative responses saying the timing is off. It could hurt the industry. And from all that you're saying, you're looking to make sure that this industry stands the test of time. Do you have any comment regarding that subject matter?
You see, the issue is that, there's a popular saying that, the best time was yesterday, and the next best time is today. So withholding tax is an income tax.
Yes.
On an individual level, and on corporate level, it's legitimate. What we just have to do, we have to make sure is we're a bit transparent and flexible about it, and we can make it progressive. So we can't just come with a sledgehammer. So those are the things that, it's a legitimate tax. When you, how you go about it is the way people have to react. But it's legitimate. I
like the fact that you said it's flexible. You're not going to, at least Lagos State is not going to approach this with a sledgehammer situation. Now, I have still more on that, as we've seen or heard cases of, based on the platform providers that are third party and overseas, that for the betting companies to be able to meet that timeline, that it will take probably 6 to 9 months for them to have to get that upgrade.
Let me give you an example of our standard practice in Lagos State. Our law requires 70 days notice, but administratively, we give 30 days notice.
Yes.
To comply. So we are being flexible and, giving other external factors that companies and operators may encounter. So we put human face to regulation.
I understand that, but you just said 70 days, for instance, but I'm telling you that some of these cases have mentioned 6 to 9 months for their platforms to be upgraded so that they can comply, for instance. So how much of a human face are you going to have when they're saying they need like 9 months to be able to comply?
You see, we know what is reasonable. We're in the system. We can call our partners abroad to give us a typical timeline.
Okay.
So when you are transparent, you don't have anything to worry.
Okay.
You understand? We have partners across the globe that can give us an idea of what's going on. And don't forget, we have reciprocity enforcement with some foreign regulators. So if you are not in compliance with us, you are not in compliance with them too.
True.
So we will be flexible, we'll be transparent, and we expect that from operators too.
I certainly appreciate that. Now, we know it's been a relatively topsy-turvy year in the industry with the new tax regimes that were introduced at various points. The industry has taken a relative hit this year. What are your projections for 2025?
In terms of
what Lagos State, what Lagos State is going to do to ensure that this industry continues to.
But let me tell you something. The focus is usually on revenue. That's not our primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to regulate, to control the industry, because if there's no control, you can go haywire. So our focus is to first of all regulate, and the good cost levy that we charge operator. It's not, government does not really rely on it for, at least in Lagos State, for revenue. It's for interventions and also to correct the vices that comes along with gambling. So that's the primary purpose. So right now we have to go back to drawing board, and we have to talk to our partner, we have to talk to other states too, so we can have sanity, maintain order, and create a standard and level playing ground. You may also wish to know that International Gaming Standard Association Africa, we have worked tirelessly so that now the ICSA Africa is now headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria.
That's good.
So it's sort of a hub for gaming in Africa. Okay. In Nigeria.
Now, I would, excuse me, I'd like to still go back to this this withholding tax matter, because you've touched on it, and I think this is an opportunity to let those that are concerned know that you've got a human face, at least in Lagos State. Now, in cases whereby the timeline, which is 1st of January, for instance, the timeline, they're not able to meet it and actually come up with, okay, this is a cogent reason. What does that process look like in terms of to make sure that they're complying and are able to leverage on the flexibility that
let me
Lagos State
reemphasize,
provides?
it's on winnings.
Yes, it's on winnings.
That's one. Number two, the withholding tax goes to either a state government on an individual level or federal government on corporate level.
Yeah.
So we have to engage all stakeholders. Punters must know about it, so information dissemination is key. Agent must know about it, and then the operators too. There have to be modalities between the operators and regulators and the Internal Revenue Service, because that withholding tax doesn't come to the gaming regulators. It goes to the state or federal government. So there will be modalities that will be agreed upon, and then we can start the collection process. Okay.
Well, this has been a very enlightening interview. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. MD and CEO of Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority, Mr. Bashir Are. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.